Lesson 58 is on percent word problems. Now in Lesson 47 we learned about problems dealing with percent, and they're kind of like word problems anyway. These will just basically have more words. We'll still use our formula P over 100 times of equals is. That will help us think about how to set up the problem and how to solve it. Look at this practice problem. After the herbicide was applied, only 30 weeds remained. If there were originally 150 weeds, what percent remained? Well, let's just go ahead and write our formula out. P over 100 times of equals is. And let's just think about this. The question is what percent, so we don't know what percent. We know that there are 30 weeds left. We had an original amount of 150, so we could draw a little diagram to help us think about it. The original amount was 150. Now, after the herbicide was applied, only 30 remained, so that would be just a little part of 150. So the total then is 150. The part that's left, that's our is part. So we say P over 100 times 150 is 30. What percent of 150 is 30? Now in a problem like this, it might be a good idea just to say P times 150 over 100. Just rearrange it a little bit, equals 30. And then you're going to multiply both sides by 100 over 150. And so that'll cancel on the left. And we'll have 30 times 100 over 150. And so that would simplify to 20%. 20% of the weeds remained. That would be our answer. And so when we look at this, 30 were killed, or 30 remained, 120 were killed to total up to that 150. So 30, that's 20%. 120 of them, that's 80%. 80% were killed. Let's do another problem. The ski shop started the season with 800 pairs of skis. If 25% of the skis were worn out during the season, how many pairs did the shop have left? Okay, so we see it's a percent word problem. Let's just go ahead and write down our formula. P over 100 times of equals is. Now, we want to know how many pairs the shop had left. 25% of the skis were worn out. So 25% of 800 were worn out. 75% of the skis were left though, right? That's what we want to know, is how many were left. Think of a percent diagram here. We start out with 800. That's our whole amount, our 100%. Okay, 25% were worn out. So there's a part that were worn out, and then 75% remain. That's how many they have left. So our percent is going to be 75 over 100 of 800. That's the whole amount. That's always the of part, is the whole amount, times 800 equals what number? We don't know what that is. So we just need to multiply 71 over 100 times 800, and that equals 600. So that's how many skis were left. And so in our diagram, we could say 75%, that's 600 of the skis. 25% is 200 of the pairs of skis. 200 pairs of skis were worn out during the season. Let's do one more. By November, the squirrel had 200 acorns stored. By December, the total had increased by 87%. What was the new total? Well, let's think about our formula. P over 100 times of equals is. Now, we have 200 acorns by November. And then by November, that total of 200 had increased by 87%. Remember, when we see that word increased by, that means we add 100 to the percentage that they gave us. So what we'll be doing then is 187 over 100 times the total of 200 and figuring out what the new total is. If we want to draw a diagram to help us here, we think of the original total of 200 acorns, and then we're going to add 87% to that, so that would almost be another whole circle there. Think of just 87%. That 200 there, that's 100%. So that means to get that new total, we need 100 plus 87, or 187 for our percentage. So let's just go ahead and do this. 187 over 100 times 200 equals what number? And a problem like that, 187 over 100, we could just say 1.87 instead of 187 over 100. Times that by 200, and you get 374. So that's the new total, 374 acorns. Just think if that makes sense. An increase of 87% is almost an increase, a double increase. If it would have increased 100%, then we would have had 400 acorns. So 374, that number does make sense there. So when you do these percent problems, use that percent formula, P over 100 times of equals is, to help you think about how to solve the problem. Use the diagrams as well to help you think about what percentages you're dealing with. Okay, well that's all for lesson 58.